Go.
Hello, I'm Richard Stinson, and I work at the Preaching Mission. And we're just a Facebook site and a YouTube site, soon to be a real site of living men and women who believe in the fatherhood of God, the sonship of man, and the brotherhood of all mankind. We believe that this gospel is the most powerful news Jesus Christ ever taught. We believe this is the meat of the gospel, that all other things are secondary, except maybe that God lives within you. We believe in following Jesus as He believed. We're doing our best. We accept all religions. We love the Bible. We love all books of the world that have truth in them. Today I was wanting to do a Urantia reading. I was wanting to talk about, or let's learn about the soul, the difference between the spirit and the soul. And one of the things about the Urantia book is we're going to read what Jesus had to say about the soul one day in Athens. And when you hear what he's got to say about the soul, it kind of changes the way you might think about your soul. Sometimes we get those two things confused. Let's see what he says. The soul is self-reflective, truth discerning, and spirit-perceiving part of man, which forever elevates the human being above the level of the animal world. Self-consciousness, in and of itself, is not the soul. Moral consciousness is true human realization and constitutes the foundation of the human soul. And the soul is part of man, which represents the potential survival value of human experience. Moral choice and spiritual attainment, the ability to know God, and the urge to be like Him, are the characteristics of the soul. The soul of man cannot exist apart from moral thinking and spiritual activity. A stagnant soul is a dying soul. But the soul of a man is distinct from the divine spirit which dwells within the mind. He's saying right there, two different things. The divine spirit arrives simultaneously with the first moral activity of the human mind. And that is the occasion of the birth of the soul. The saving or losing of a soul has to do with whether or not the moral consciousness attains survival status through eternal alliance with its associated immortal spirit endowment. Salvation is the spiritualization of the self-realization of moral consciousness, which thereby becomes possessed of survival value. This is good right here. He says, all forms of soul conflict consist in the lack of harmony between the moral or spiritual self-consciousness and the purely intellectual self-consciousness. He says all forms of soul conflict consist in the lack of harmony between the moral and spiritual self-consciousness and purely intellectual self-consciousness. The human soul, when matured, ennobled, spiritualized, approaches the heavenly status in that it comes near to being an entity intervening between the material and the spiritual, the material self and the divine spirit. The evolving soul of the human being is difficult of description and more difficult of demonstration because it is not discoverable by the methods of either material investigation or spiritual proving. Material science cannot demonstrate the existence of the soul, neither can pure spirit testing. I wonder what he means by pure spirit testing. Perhaps the measuring by the fruit. Notwithstanding the failure of both material science, spiritual standards to discover the existence of the human soul, every moral consciousness, or every moral conscience mortal knows the existence of his own soul, a real and actual personal experience. See, the soul and the spirit are two different things. So to me, our soul is our higher self, the better us, the one that makes the right choices. That everything, when we make the right choices, those are spiritually transcribed and recorded by our Father for our next lives in the heavens. Those are real. So to me, our soul is our higher self. When we do those things, the more real you are, the more good you do. The more good you do, the more real you are. That's where the non-dualists have a point, in a sense. Those bad things are illusions. Amen? Amen.